Jake Harrison stood on the bridge of his ship and looked out at the stars. He was the commander of the UES Vanguard, the newest warship that Earth had ever built. The ship was huge and powerful, but most aliens in the galaxy thought human technology was weak and old. Jake was 35 years old and had been in space for most of his adult life. He had short brown hair and serious blue eyes. Today felt different from all the other days. Today his ship was heading toward the biggest battle the galaxy had ever seen. Lisa Parker walked up to Jake with a worried look on her face. She was his second in command and one of the smartest people he knew. Lisa had blonde hair tied back in a neat style and always kept her uniform perfect. "Commander, we are getting messages from the battle zone," Lisa said. "The aliens are losing badly. The Zentari fleet is almost destroyed. The Kresh ships are being blown up one after another." Jake nodded but did not say anything. He had been expecting this news. The war between the Galactic Council and the Void Collective had been going on for 3 years. Every major alien race had sent their best ships to fight. The Zentari had energy shields that could stop most weapons. The Kresh had thousands of small ships that attacked like angry bees. The Ethereals could move things with their minds, but none of it was working against the Void Collective. Alex Turner sat at his control station nearby. He was the ship's navigator and could fly through space better than anyone Jake had ever met. Alex had red hair and freckles, and he always seemed calm even when things got dangerous. "Commander, we will reach the Kepler Nebula in 2 hours," Alex said. "That is where the battle is happening." Jake walked to the big window at the front of the bridge. Through the glass he could see the strange colors of the nebula in the distance. Even from far away he could see the flashes of light from exploding ships. The battle looked like a deadly fireworks show. Maya Chen was working at her science station. She was studying all the information they were getting from the battle. Maya was young but very smart. She had long black hair and wore thick glasses that made her look even smarter than she was. "Commander, I have been looking at the alien weapons," Maya said. "They use energy beams and strange matter that does not exist on Earth. Their shields can stop almost any normal attack." "What about the Void Collective?" Jake asked. "They are even stranger," Maya replied. "Their ships seem to eat light. They have weapons that can make other ships disappear completely. The alien fleets cannot figure out how to fight them." Ben Rodriguez was at the communications station. He was always listening to messages from across the galaxy. Ben was short and had a big smile, but today he looked serious. "Commander, I just heard from Admiral Kane Roberts," Ben said. "He is on the Zentari flagship watching the battle. He says things are very bad. The aliens are talking about giving up and running away." Jake felt angry when he heard this. Earth had wanted to help in this war, but the Galactic Council said humans were too primitive. They said human weapons were too simple and would not work against advanced enemies. The aliens thought humans should stay home and let the real warriors handle the fighting, but Jake knew something the aliens did not know. Human weapons were simple, but that might be exactly what was needed. Carlos Martinez came up from the engine room. He was the chief engineer and could fix anything on the ship. Carlos was big and strong with black hair and kind eyes. His hands were always dirty from working on machines. "Commander, the engines are running perfectly," Carlos said. "This ship is ready for anything." Jake looked around at his crew. These were good people who believed in protecting Earth and helping others. They had trained for years to fly this ship. The Vanguard was not like the pretty alien ships with their smooth curves and glowing lights. It was built like a fortress with thick armor and simple but powerful weapons. Danny Cooper was at the weapons station. He was young and excited about fighting. Danny had blonde hair and always seemed ready for action. He understood every gun and missile on the ship. "Commander, all weapons are ready," Danny said. "Our railguns are loaded, our missiles are armed, everything is working perfectly." Jake thought about the orders he had received from Earth. The leaders back home had been very clear. Do not fight, just watch and learn. Earth was not officially part of this war. If the Vanguard was destroyed, it would mean war between humanity and whoever killed them. But as Jake watched more alien ships explode in the distance, he began to question those orders. Good people were dying out there. Entire civilizations might be wiped out. Could he really just watch and do nothing? Susan Taylor was the ship's doctor. She was always calm and took care of everyone on the ship. Susan had brown hair and a gentle voice that made people feel better when they were hurt or scared. "Commander, the crew is ready for whatever you decide," Susan said. "We all know why we are here." Ryan Bell walked onto the bridge. He was in charge of security and protecting the ship. Ryan was tall and serious with short black hair. He always seemed to know when trouble was coming. "Sir, I have been watching the battle through our sensors," Ryan said. "The aliens are fighting hard, but they are losing. The Void Collective has weapons that the aliens cannot understand or stop." Greg Foster was working at his station, studying how the battle was going. He was very good at figuring out the best ways to fight. Greg had brown hair and was always thinking about tactics and strategy. "Commander, the alien fleets are using the same tactics they have always used," Greg said. "But the Void Collective seems to know exactly what they will do next. It is like they can predict every move." Jake made his decision. He turned to face his crew. "Alex set course for the center of the battle," he said. "Sir, that goes against our orders," Lisa said carefully. "I know," Jake replied. "But sometimes doing the right thing is more important than following orders." The UES Vanguard turned toward the battle zone. Behind them, Earth was safe for now. Ahead of them was the greatest fight in galactic history. Jake did not know if his ship could make a difference, but he knew they had to try. The galaxy was about to learn what humans could do when they decided to fight. The UES Vanguard moved closer to the battle, and Jake Harrison could see that things were getting worse for the alien fleets. Explosions lit up space like deadly stars. Ships that had taken years to build were being destroyed in seconds. Admiral Kane Roberts was on the Zentari flagship, watching the battle up close. Kane was an old friend of Jake's and one of the best military minds that Earth had. He had gray hair and had been in more space battles than anyone else from Earth. Kane was sending secret messages back to the Vanguard. "The Zentari are brave, but they are losing badly," Kane's message said. "The Void Collective has new weapons. They can make ships disappear by changing reality itself. Nothing the aliens have can stop these weapons." Maya Chen was studying the information that Kane was sending them. She looked worried as she read the data on her screen. "Commander, these reality disruptor weapons are incredible," Maya said. "They can change the basic rules of how matter works. When they hit a ship, that ship just stops existing. The alien shields cannot protect against something like this." Ben Rodriguez was listening to messages from across the battlefield. The aliens were panicking. Their most advanced weapons were useless against an enemy that could change reality. "Sir, I am hearing reports from all the alien fleets," Ben said. "The Kresh Hive motherships are gone. The ethereal mind ships cannot use their psychic powers. Even the ancient Vorthan dreadnoughts are being destroyed." Jake watched through the main screen as another group of alien ships tried to attack the Void Collective fleet. The alien ships fired their energy beams and launched their exotic missiles. But the dark ships of the Void Collective just absorbed the attacks like they were nothing. Then the Void Collective fired back. Their reality disruptor weapons reached out like invisible hands and touched the alien ships. One moment the ships were there, fighting and trying to survive. The next moment they were just gone, as if they had never existed at all. Lisa Parker looked at the tactical display with growing concern. She had studied every type of alien weapon and defense system, but she had never seen anything like this. "Commander, the aliens are retreating," Lisa said. "The Zentari Admiral has ordered his remaining ships to fall back. The Kresh swarm is breaking apart. This might be the end of the Galactic Council." Alex Turner was keeping the Vanguard at a safe distance from the battle, but they were getting closer all the time. Through the ship's sensors, they could see the Void Collective ships more clearly now. They were strange vessels that seemed to bend light around them. They looked like holes cut out of space itself. "Commander, we will reach the edge of the battle zone in 30 minutes, Alex said. Danny Cooper was watching the alien weapons and tactics very carefully. He was learning how the enemy fought so that he could figure out the best way to fight them back. "Sir, the Void Collective ships are using their reality weapons in a pattern," Danny said. "They seem to need time to charge up between shots, and they are not using any normal shields or armor. They are depending completely on their strange technology." Jake thought about what Danny had said. The Void Collective had become so advanced that they had forgotten about simple defenses. They believed their reality weapons made them impossible to defeat. Carlos Martinez called up from the engine room. He had been working on the ship's power systems to make sure they were ready for battle. "Commander, I have been thinking about these reality disruptor weapons," Carlos said. "They work by changing the structure of exotic matter and energy fields, but our ship is built with simple materials: steel, titanium, basic elements. Maybe these weapons will not work the same way on us." Maya Chen looked up from her science station with excitement in her eyes. "Carlos might be right," Maya said. "These weapons are designed to disrupt the advanced materials that alien ships use, but human ships are made from simple metals and basic technology. We might be naturally immune to their most powerful weapons." Jake felt a spark of hope. Maybe humanity's simple technology was not a weakness after all. Maybe it was exactly what was needed to fight an enemy that was too advanced for their own good. Susan Taylor had been monitoring the crew's health and stress levels. Everyone was nervous about the upcoming battle, but they were all ready to fight. "Commander, the crew is in good condition," Susan said. "We are all ready for whatever comes next." Ryan Bell was checking the ship's defensive systems. The Vanguard had thick armor plating and multiple backup systems. It was built to survive in dangerous situations. "Sir, our armor is designed to stop kinetic impacts and energy weapons," Ryan said. "We do not know if it will stop reality disruptors, but our ship is tougher than anything the aliens have built." Suddenly, Ben Rodriguez received an urgent message. "From Admiral Kane Roberts on the Zentari flagship. Commander Kane is sending an emergency transmission," Ben said. Jake listened as Kane's voice came through the speakers. The old admiral sounded tired and sad. "Jake, the battle is lost," Kane said. "The Zentari admiral is about to order a full retreat. The Void Collective has won. They are too powerful for the aliens to defeat. I recommend that you return to Earth immediately. There is nothing we can do here." Jake looked around at his crew. These were good people who had trained their whole lives for a moment like this. They had the most advanced ship that humanity had ever built. They had weapons that no alien had ever seen before. And most importantly, they had something that the aliens seemed to have lost during their long evolution. They had the willingness to take risks and try new things. "Lisa, bring all weapon systems online," Jake said quietly. "Sir?" Lisa asked, not sure she had heard correctly. "You heard me. Charge the railguns. Arm the nuclear missiles. Prepare all kinetic weapons for combat." "Commander, if we attack, we will be starting a war," Lisa said. "Earth Command specifically ordered us not to engage." Jake looked out at the battle where brave alien warriors were dying because they could not adapt to a new kind of enemy. "Sometimes, Lisa, you have to choose between following orders and doing what is right," Jake said. "Today, humanity is going to show the galaxy what we are really made of." The UES Vanguard turned toward the heart of the battle. Every alien ship in the area would soon learn that humans were not as primitive as they thought. The galaxy was about to change forever. The moment the UES Vanguard entered the battlefield, something incredible happened. Every ship stopped fighting. The massive alien dreadnoughts that had been firing energy beams just moments before went silent. The Dark Void Collective ships that had been destroying everything in their path suddenly stopped moving. It was as if the entire galaxy had frozen in place. Jake Harrison stood on the bridge and watched as thousands of ships from dozens of different species all turned to look at his vessel. The Vanguard was different from every other ship in the battle. Where the alien ships were smooth and elegant with flowing curves, the human ship was all sharp angles and thick armor plating. "Commander, all alien vessels have stopped firing," Lisa Parker reported with amazement in her voice. "Both sides seem to be staring at us." Alex Turner checked his navigation systems twice to make sure they were working correctly. "Sir, we are definitely in the middle of the largest space battle in galactic history, but nobody is shooting at anybody right now," Alex said. The alien ships had never seen anything like the Vanguard. Centauri vessels looked like beautiful works of art made from glowing crystal. Kresh ships were organic-looking things that seemed alive. Ethereal craft were almost transparent and seemed to float without any visible engines. but the human ship looked like it was built for war, and nothing else. It had gun turrets sticking out in all directions. Missile pods were mounted on every surface. Thick armor covered every inch of the hull. It looked dangerous and simple at the same time. Maya Chen was scanning the other ships and getting very interesting readings. "Commander, the alien ships are all trying to scan us with their sensors," Maya said. "But they cannot figure out what we are made of. Our simple steel and titanium armor is confusing their advanced scanning systems." Carlos Martinez reported from the engine room that their systems were working perfectly, while the alien ships seemed to be having problems. "Sir, our nuclear engines are running smooth as silk," Carlos said. "But I am reading power fluctuations on the alien ships. I think their advanced systems are trying to figure out how our simple technology works." The Void Collective was the first group to react to the human ship. 3 of their largest vessels, each one the size of a small moon, moved toward the vanguard. These were the ships that had been destroying entire alien fleets without taking any damage. Danny Cooper watched the enemy ships approach and got ready for battle. "Commander, 3 Void Collective dreadnoughts are moving toward us," Danny said. "They are charging their reality disruptor weapons." "Let them come," Jake said calmly. "All crews prepare for combat." The Void Collective ships fired their most powerful weapons at the human vessel. The reality disruptors that had made dozens of alien ships simply disappear reached out toward the vanguard like invisible claws. The weapons hit the human ship directly, and absolutely nothing happened. The vanguard's simple steel armor did not even get scratched. The reality disruptor weapons that could change the basic structure of exotic matter had no effect on basic elements like iron and carbon. "Sir, their weapons are not working on us at all," Maya said with excitement. "I was right. Their technology is designed to disrupt advanced alien materials. But human ships are too simple for their weapons to affect." Jake smiled for the first time since the battle began. "Danny, return fire. All weapons." The human ship's railguns came to life with a sound like thunder. These were simple weapons that used magnets to throw chunks of metal at incredible speeds. The tungsten slugs that came out of the railguns were traveling at a significant fraction of the speed of light. The first salvo of railgun rounds hit the Void Collective ships and tore through their hulls like they were made of paper. The aliens had never faced weapons that were so brutally simple and direct. Their shields were designed to stop energy beams and exotic particles, not solid chunks of metal moving at tremendous speeds. Direct hits on all 3 targets. Danny reported happily. "Their shields are not stopping our kinetic weapons at all." Ben Rodriguez was monitoring communications from across the battlefield. The alien fleets were sending messages back and forth, trying to understand what they were seeing. "Commander, the aliens are calling us the impossible species," Ben said. "They cannot believe that simple kinetic weapons are working so well against an enemy that their advanced technology cannot touch." The Vanguard launched a spread of nuclear missiles at the damaged Void Collective ships. These were not exotic weapons with strange physics. They were simple fusion bombs that created huge explosions. The Void Collective ships tried to use their reality disruptors to make the missiles disappear. But the weapons did not work on simple matter. The nuclear explosions lit up space like new suns. When the light faded, 2 of the 3 Void Collective dreadnoughts were completely destroyed. The third one was badly damaged and trying to retreat. Susan Taylor was monitoring the crew during the battle. The human body could handle much more stress and damage than most alien species, and this was giving them an advantage in combat. "Commander, all crew members are handling the battle stress very well," Susan said. "These aliens are clearly not used to the kind of punishment that humans can take." Ryan Bell was coordinating damage control teams, but there was not much for them to do. The Void Collective weapons that had been destroying alien ships left the human vessel completely untouched. "Sir, we have taken no damage at all," Ryan reported. "Their reality weapons cannot hurt us, and they do not seem to have any backup weapons that work on simple matter." Greg Foster was studying the enemy tactics and finding major weaknesses. "Commander, the Void Collective has become too dependent on their advanced technology," Greg said. "They have no experience fighting an enemy that uses basic physics and simple weapons. They do not know how to adapt to our tactics." More Void Collective ships were moving toward the human vessel, but now they seemed hesitant. They had watched their most powerful weapons fail completely against this strange new enemy. The alien fleets of the Galactic Council were still frozen in amazement. They had been fighting the Void Collective for 3 years without success. Now, a single human ship was destroying enemy vessels that had seemed impossible to defeat. Admiral Kane Roberts sent a message from the Zentari flagship. "Jake, I do not know how you are doing this, but you have just changed the course of the war," Kane said. "The Void Collective is retreating from your position. Their ships are actually running away from you." Jake looked around at his crew. These people had just proven that sometimes the simplest solution was the best solution. Human technology might be primitive compared to alien science, but it was also immune to the exotic weapons that made the Void Collective so dangerous. "All ships, this is Commander Harrison of the Earth vessel Vanguard," Jake announced on all frequencies. "Any Void Collective ships that want to surrender should power down their weapons now. Any ships that want to keep fighting should prepare to be destroyed." For the first time in 3 years, the Void Collective was afraid. Word of the human ship's incredible victory spread across the battlefield faster than light itself. Every alien captain, every fleet commander, and every soldier was talking about the impossible thing they had just witnessed. A single ship from a species that everyone thought was primitive had just destroyed 3 of the most powerful Void Collective dreadnoughts. The Zentari admiral aboard the damaged cruiser Starfire was the first to contact Jake Harrison directly. Admiral Thax 9 had been fighting space battles for over 200 years, but he had never seen anything like what the humans had just done. "Human vessel. This is Admiral Thax 9 of the Zentari Defense Fleet," came the translation through the ship's computers. "We do not understand your technology, but we are very grateful for your help. How can ships of such simple design be so effective against an enemy we cannot defeat?" Jake activated the main communication system so that every ship in the battle could hear his response. "Admiral Thax 9, we humans have a saying," Jake said with a smile. "If it is not broken, do not fix it. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways." Lisa Parker was monitoring the tactical situation as more Void Collective ships moved toward their position. But these enemy vessels were acting very differently now. Instead of attacking with confidence, they seemed scared and uncertain. "Commander, 12 more Void Collective ships are approaching, but they are keeping their distance," Lisa reported. "Their movement patterns suggest they are confused and do not know how to attack us." Maya Chen was analyzing the enemy behavior and finding very interesting patterns. "Sir, the Void Collective ships are trying to adapt their tactics to fight us, but they are failing," Maya said. "Their computer systems are designed to predict enemy behavior based on advanced technology. They cannot understand how simple kinetic weapons can be so effective." Greg Foster was calculating firing solutions and target priorities as fast as the ship's computers could process the information. "Commander, the enemy ships are trying to stay out of range of our weapons," Greg said. "But they do not seem to understand that our railguns have much longer range than their energy weapons. They are actually moving into perfect positions for us to attack them." Danny Cooper was targeting the approaching enemy ships with the Vanguard's massive weapon systems. The ship had been designed specifically to fight enemies that Earth's military leaders thought might be too advanced for normal weapons to handle. "Sir, all railgun batteries are locked onto targets," Danny said. "Nuclear missiles are armed and ready. Our point defense systems are online in case they try to return fire." Jake gave the order that would change the course of galactic history. "All weapons, fire at will." The UES Vanguard unleashed its full firepower for the first time. Railgun rounds streaked across space at incredible speeds, each one carrying enough kinetic energy to destroy a city. Nuclear missiles followed behind the kinetic rounds, their fusion warheads ready to finish off any ships that survived the initial barrage. The Void Collective ships tried to use their reality disruptor weapons to defend themselves, but the human projectiles were made of simple matter that their exotic technology could not affect. The tungsten rounds punched through their hulls like bullets through paper. The nuclear explosions that followed lit up the battlefield like a chain of miniature stars. In less than 5 minutes, 12 more Void Collective ships were either destroyed or badly damaged. The enemy force that had been terrorizing the galaxy for 3 years was being torn apart by weapons that used technology thousands of years old. Ben Rodriguez was monitoring communications from across the entire battlefield. The aliens were amazed by what they were seeing. "Commander, I am getting messages from ships all across the galaxy," Ben said. "They are calling this the day that the primitives saved civilization. Some of them are asking if we are using some kind of secret super technology." Carlos Martinez reported from the engine room that the ship's systems were working even better than expected. The simple design that the aliens thought was primitive was actually much more reliable than their advanced technology. "Sir, our engines are running at 110% efficiency," Carlos said. "These aliens build their ships like works of art, but we build ours like tools. Tools that are designed to work when you need them most." Ryan Bell was coordinating boarding parties as several Void Collective ships were disabled rather than destroyed. The human Marines who went aboard the enemy vessels found something very surprising. "Commander, the Void Collective crews are surrendering without a fight," Ryan said. "They are calling us the impossible species and saying that their computer systems cannot figure out how to fight us. Some of them are asking how ships with such simple technology can be so powerful." Susan Taylor was treating wounded crew members from the alien ships that had been damaged in the fighting. She found that the Void Collective species were actually quite fragile compared to humans. "Sir, these alien beings seem to have evolved in perfect environments," Susan said. "They are not used to dealing with physical stress or damage. When their advanced technology fails, they do not know how to adapt." The tide of the battle was turning completely. Void Collective ships that had been attacking the Galactic Council fleets were now trying to retreat. But the human ship was faster than they expected. The Vanguard's simple nuclear engines could accelerate much more quickly than the exotic propulsion systems that the aliens used. Alex Turner was pursuing the retreating enemy ships and cutting off their escape routes. "Commander, the enemy ships are trying to run away, but we are faster than they are," Alex said. "Their advanced engines are designed for efficiency, not for emergency acceleration. Our simple fusion rockets can outrun them easily." Admiral Kane Roberts sent another message from the Zentari flagship where he was observing the battle. "Jake, you are not going to believe this," Kane said. "The Void Collective is sending retreat signals to their ships across the entire galaxy. They are calling off their invasion because of what you have done here today. A single human ship has ended a 3-year war." Jake looked around at his crew with pride. These people had just proven that human determination and simple technology could overcome any enemy, no matter how advanced they seemed to be. "All stations, prepare for pursuit operations," Jake ordered. "We are going to make sure that every Void Collective ship leaves this system, and we are going to make sure they remember what happens when they threaten innocent people." The other alien fleets began to follow the human ship as it chased down the retreating enemy. For the first time in 3 years, the Galactic Council was winning a battle against the Void Collective. The galaxy was learning that sometimes the most advanced technology was not the best technology. Sometimes you just needed to make things go very fast and hit very hard. 3 months after the battle at Kepler Nebula, Jake Harrison found himself in a place he had never expected to be. He was standing in the Great Council chamber of the Galactic Alliance, surrounded by alien leaders who had previously thought humans were too primitive to be worth their attention. The chamber was enormous, with a domed ceiling that showed a perfect view of the stars outside. Representatives from dozens of different species sat in curved rows, all of them looking at the human commander who had changed the course of galactic history. Chancellor Vex of the Zentari hegemony was the first to speak. The tall, crystal-like, being glowed with soft blue light as he addressed Jake. "Commander Harrison, our debt to your species cannot be measured," Chancellor Vex said through the translation system. "Your ship and crew did what our combined fleets could not do. You stopped the Void Collective advance and saved billions of lives across the galaxy." Jake felt uncomfortable with all the attention, but he knew this moment was important for humanity's future. Earth was no longer just another primitive planet. They were now a major power in galactic politics. Maya Chen stood beside Jake as the chief science representative for humanity. She had been studying alien technology for months and sharing human knowledge with alien scientists. The exchange of information was helping both sides understand each other better. "Honorable representatives," Maya said to the assembled aliens, Our approach to warfare evolved differently than yours. While you developed exotic energies and advanced materials, we perfected the art of making objects move very fast and hit very hard. Both approaches have value, but sometimes simple solutions work better than complex ones. The ethereal counselor, a being made of pure energy, communicated directly into everyone's minds. We made an error in judgment, the ethereal said. We believed that technological advancement always meant greater complexity. You have taught us that effectiveness is more important than sophistication. Admiral Patricia Moore was Earth's first official ambassador to the Galactic Council. She was a veteran diplomat who had spent years preparing for this moment. Patricia had gray hair and wore the formal blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. On behalf of the United Earth government, I am honored to sign this alliance agreement, Patricia said as she put her signature on the formal documents. Humanity looks forward to working with all member species to maintain peace and security in the galaxy. The signing ceremony was being broadcast across thousands of worlds. Alien children who had grown up during the war were finally able to sleep safely, knowing that the terrible Void Collective had been defeated by an unlikely ally. Danny Cooper had become something of a celebrity among alien military officers. They all wanted to understand how human weapons could be so effective against enemies that their advanced technology could not touch. The secret is not really a secret, Danny explained to a group of Kresh officers. We use simple physics. We accelerate metal objects to very high speeds and then we aim them at targets. The faster the object moves, the more damage it does when it hits something. This has been true for thousands of years. A young Kresh officer asked the question that everyone wanted to know. But how can such primitive weapons defeat reality disruptor technology? Danny smiled and gave the answer that was becoming famous across the galaxy. Because reality disruptors only work on things that are not really real. They can affect exotic matter and energy fields because those things are artificial, but simple. Metal objects are made of basic elements that have existed since the universe began. You cannot make something that basic stop existing. Carlos Martinez was working with alien engineers to help them understand human ship design. The aliens were amazed by how tough and reliable human vessels were compared to their own elegant but fragile craft. Your ships are beautiful, Carlos told a group of Zentari engineers, but they are built like pieces of art. Human ships are built like tools. We design them to keep working even when they are damaged, even when conditions are terrible, even when everything goes wrong. A Zentari engineer asked why humans did not use more advanced materials in their ship construction. Because advanced materials can fail in advanced ways, Carlos replied. But steel and titanium will always be steel and titanium. They are predictable. You know exactly how strong they are and exactly how much punishment they can take. Lisa Parker had been promoted to captain and was now commanding her own ship. Earth was building a whole fleet of vessels based on the Vanguard design. The galaxy wanted human ships protecting their trade routes and colonies. The most important thing we learned, Lisa told a class of alien naval officers, is that you should never underestimate an enemy just because their technology looks simple. Some of the most effective solutions are also the most basic ones. Ben Rodriguez was now head of communications for the entire human fleet. He was helping to establish communication protocols between human ships and alien vessels so they could work together more effectively. The funny thing is, Ben said to his alien counterparts, we spent years trying to figure out how to make our technology as advanced as yours. But it turned out that our simple technology was exactly what was needed to win the war. Ryan Bell was training alien security teams in human combat tactics. The aliens were learning that humans were much tougher and more adaptable than most species in the galaxy. Humans evolved on a dangerous planet, Ryan explained. We had to learn how to survive in situations where our technology failed, where our plans went wrong, where everything seemed hopeless. That experience taught us to never give up and to always keep fighting. Susan Taylor was working with alien medical teams to establish field hospitals that could treat both human and alien injuries. She was amazed by how different alien biology was from human biology. Most alien species evolved in perfect environments, Susan told her medical colleagues. Their bodies are optimized for comfort and efficiency. But humans evolved in a hostile environment where only the strongest and most adaptable survived. That is why we can handle so much stress and damage in combat situations. Jake Harrison returned to Earth as a hero, but more importantly, he had secured humanity's place among the stars. The species that had been dismissed as primitive was now one of the most respected members of the Galactic Alliance. As the UES Vanguard entered Earth's solar system for the first time in months, Jake stood on the bridge and looked out at the blue and white planet where humanity had begun its journey to the stars. Alex Turner was at his navigation station, guiding the ship toward Earth orbit. "Home looks good, does not it, Commander?" Alex said with a smile. "It looks perfect," Jake replied. In shipyards across human space, new vessels were being built. Each one carried the lessons learned from the battle at Kepler Nebula. Each one was a reminder that sometimes the most advanced solution was not the best solution. Sometimes you just needed to accelerate a piece of metal to really impressive speeds and aim it at your target. The age of human expansion had begun, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again.